No, James.
Thanks, Martin. It's on the SG statement following the news of the death of Osama bin Laden yesterday. The SG spoke sort of broadly in support of the attack, but I'm just wondering whether or not there was any analysis of some of the areas that might be problematic in it. For example, whether it was a violation of Pakistani sovereignty, or whether or not the killing represented an extrajudicial execution.
I think the most important point that the Secretary-General was trying to make was that this was an extremely important moment in the fight against terrorism. It's not to say that fight is over, and indeed the United Nations will continue to fight against it. Al-Qaeda's crimes stretch right the way around the world and have brought tragedy to many hundreds of people, whether they have been killed themselves or family members have been killed or injured. It's obvious that the United Nations would condemn terrorism in all its forms. And that's what the Secretary-General was doing yesterday.
We know that. The question is more about whether or not the means justify the ends.
Well, the Secretary-General spoke about that too, and he certainly spoke in general terms about commending the work that's being done by many people around the world in trying to eradicate international terrorism. Yes, Barbara.
Just to follow up on James's question, the Secretary-General quite specifically said that he was relieved that justice had been done. He made the point that justice had been done, which of course we know is very much the feeling in the United States for reasons that are obvious, but in actual fact we are talking about, in essence, a SWAT team that flew into another country and assassinated somebody. I mean, was there no discussion that the Secretary-General might have the responsibility to keep the principle of rule of law in all cases, even if you're talking about somebody like Osama bin Laden?
Well, as he prefaced that by saying personally he's very much relieved by this news, not least because he also personally remembers precisely what happened on that day, September the 11th, 2001, because he was here in New York at the time, as you know, working for the then President of the General Assembly, just about to start that session. And so I think it was in that context that he was speaking.
He speaks for the UN, doesn't he? No, that's a UN statement saying justice was done.
As I say, the key point here is that Al-Qaeda has brought tragedy and death and destruction around the world, touching most continents around the world. And yes, I think you had a question, and then I'm coming to you, Nizar. Yes, Nizar, please. Yes.
I mean, by encouraging, couldn't that be interpreted as encouragement for the jungle of law of the jungle rather than the law of nations here? Because number one, the people have the right to know why bin Laden has done it, what he has done, and they want to know who's behind bin Laden as well. A trial would be in order, isn't it? In this case, why did they opt not to try him?
Well, that's really not a question for me, Nizar. It's not a question for me to analyze the U.S. administration's operation that was carried out, as you know, and was announced by President Obama. I'm not going to do that.